As I was just feeling that brain freeze coming on, I just covertly opened the cap of the peppermint and sniffed it. Guys, it snapped me back into present day. And I'm like, Nikki, you got this. Like, you're prepared for this. I'm going to show you the exact moment that my brain tried to sabotage me from a $50,000 opportunity and how peppermint saved my career. Hi, guys. My name is Nikki. I help underestimated professionals rise into executive levels and thrive wherever they are. If you've ever rehearsed for a presentation for hours and then you got into the presentation and your mind went blank, this video is here to tell you you're not alone. You're not broken. There are systems that can support you. Today, you're going to get 5 communication shifts that actually help quiet leaders get promoted. And I'm going to show you one sentence that helped Emma go from senior director to VP. So, this was my first time presenting to a C suite. I was trying to present a proposal because I was leading our employee relations team. I had a proposal that I thought was airtight, and I got into that meeting and I went blank. I couldn't remember anything. I couldn't think. I guess I was just power scared. There was just too many people in the C suite staring at me, waiting for me. Luckily, I was already working with a coach. A coach had recommended that whenever you find yourself in that type of situation, take a bottle of peppermint and sniff it. And I remember laughing during our coaching session because I'm like, peppermint. And I needed it that day. As I was just feeling that brain freeze coming on, I just covertly opened the cap of the peppermint and sniffed it. Guys, it snapped me back into present day. And I'm like, Nikki, you got this. Like, you're prepared for this. Bottom line, I got the proposal. I was able to get everybody on board. It was a great presentation. Like, those presentations that you leave and you're like, I did that. I did that. Now, I do have a confession. It was not just the peppermint that solved that problem for me. I feel like if I hadn't started working with a coach and I didn't have all these mindset shifts that I'm going to share with you, the peppermint may not have worked. I don't know if it's just peppermint. I think it's any strong scent. It kind of just goes straight to your nervous system to snap it back to reality. I hear this a lot. You should speak up more in meetings. You need to take up more space. You need to be confident. I feel like that's terrible advice. Like, that's only focusing on the mindset. Nobody ever gives people the actual systems to be able to improve some of those qualities that we're lacking. It's like telling a runner, you just need to run faster, but you haven't taught them the form. Like, dude, I'm running as fast as I can. Isn't that why there are paid coaches who teach runners how to run? I feel like mindset helps you think differently, but systems help you act differently. So, in the same vein, like a mindset coach, it's somebody who is like telling a runner, you can do it, you go, girl, you can do it. But if you don't have a system to pair that with, that runner is going to continue to run at the same pace. Now, without further ado, let's get into these shifts. The first shift is to go from just reporting information to recommending solutions. Now, from a mindset shift standpoint, peppermint is always great for conversations where you feel like your nerves will be running haywire. Because a lot of us tend to focus on what we're going to gain from the meeting or what we want to share. But I think it's more important to focus on what each stakeholder or each attendee should learn from that conversation. Phrasing it that way prepares you for whatever questions they may have for you and makes sure that whatever communication you're sending out is actually meeting them at the point of their need. A lot of brilliant professionals are analytical thinkers. Some of them are creative. But if you're not able to connect the dots between the data that you're talking about and what you want your audience to learn, you're going to leave a gap in communication. I have a 3-step formula to make sure that whatever it is you're communicating is landing just the way you want it to. So here's the formula. Data plus recommendation plus impact equals to strategic communication. Write it down or save this video so you can come back to it. So if you were using the reporting system, you might say the customer satisfaction declined by 15%. The main complaints we saw this month were response time and quality. You're just reporting information. Like, what do you want them to do with that information? Here's what recommending may sound like. Customer service declined by 15%. That's data. I recommend a 3-phase plan. Response targets, quality checkpoints, and recovery protocols. That's the recommendation. This restore satisfaction to baseline within 90 days. Now that's the impact. One of my clients, Maria, was a reporter. She was just always reporting information. She says leaders would just give a thumbs up to her emails, like, okay, that's interesting. Moving on. Right now, Maria is leading a customer experience transformation for her team because she switched from just reporting information to now recommending solutions that have impact. Now, let's talk about the shift number 2. How can you go from tentative to strategic? First, let's talk about your mindset. Have you ever said, I may be wrong, but does that sound familiar? Have you said that in the workplace? Unfortunately, you may feel you're being humble, but what leaders hear in that moment is uncertainty. So here's a mindset trick that could work for you if you're in a presentation. Plant both feet on the ground. This is called grounding. When you feel like you're uncertain about something, it makes you feel more in tune with your intuition, and then you can just speak your truth. Also, it helps you to manage anxiety while projecting stability. Now, let's talk about the system. Don't forget our strategic language formula: data, recommendation, impact. You can apply the formula. Based on the Q3 performance data, I recommend implementing X approach because it addresses the root cause and aligns with our objectives. That's the impact. Shift number 3. How can you move from reactive to proactive? First, let's talk about your mindset. Most times you may feel you're being polite, waiting to be asked, but in my experience, it is the professionals who took action or took initiative that were actually more visible and got promoted. Ever heard of the saying, do first and ask for forgiveness later? Now, I'm not saying go rogue, but I wouldn't hesitate to apply a little bit of risk. If you take risk, like say for instance, you can work on a project that has not yet been approved, you get that project to a point where you can already see that it will be successful, and then you present your findings. In most instances, leaders do approve those types of projects. Now let's talk about the system. I call it the strategic input method. If you have an important meeting, you can send this before that meeting. You can say, I've been analyzing tomorrow's marketing discussion, and I've identified 3 considerations: timing, resource allocation, and competitive positioning. Happy to share my framework during the meeting tomorrow. Now you've created airtime where everybody is looking forward to hearing about this framework that you created instead of looking for an opportunity to share your idea in that meeting. Here are 2 common scenarios I do find in meetings where you're sharing ideas. The first one is where somebody steals your idea, or they parrot your idea and then make it sound like it was their original idea. If someone does that to you, here's what you can do. Say, hi, John. Yes, thanks for revisiting the framework I mentioned earlier. To expand on it, blah, 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 blah. Here's another scenario that I see happen a lot. If you get interrupted, you could say this: hi, Mary, let me finish this thought. I would really love to hear your perspective on XYZ. These are covert and strategic ways to still maintain airtime in the workplace while still being respectful to your team members. All right, what's the 4th shift? This is a very, very important one. How do you move from task focused to impact focused? First, let's talk about your mindset. A lot of times you may think that you're being humble by just focusing on what you've been asked to do, but leaders are more concerned about your business impact than your effort. Before presentations, make sure to document specific outcomes. Focus not on what you did, but more so on what changed because you did it. So here's what that could sound like. I completed the quarterly report and sent the analysis. What does that do for me in terms of value? Now, if you were impact focused, here's what you probably could have said. My quarterly analysis identified $2 million in cost savings and informed the strategy that leadership used to restructure operations. So you're basically sharing what impact the analysis you did had on the organization. And last but not least, the 5th shift, which I think is the most important. How can you shift from humble to confident? A friend's dad once said, humility is not thinking less of yourself, rather it is thinking of yourself less. I love that saying. Here's what I know, and it may sound harsh. If you focus on how your voice actually benefits others, you may start to think that it's a little selfish that you're hoarding all those brilliant ideas in your head. Like your perspective could literally save the company a lot of money. I mean, your perspective could cure cancer, who knows? When you stay quiet, you're depriving others of the value that you bring to the organization. So from a framework or systems perspective, here's what that could look like. Instead of saying, hey, yeah, we did well with this project, I think we just got lucky. I mean, you might say you're trying to be humble, but Who does that help, right? Rather, here's how you can communicate it. I'm proud of the strategic framework that I developed. It required deep analysis and a lot of effort, and we can all see that the result speaks for itself. So, there are two types of people. The first group of people hear all these shifts and they're like, okay, cool story, moving on. The second group of people take at least one of these shifts and employ them at work tomorrow. So, that's the question I want to ask you. Which of these shifts are you going to start working on tomorrow? Or you can even do me one better, build an implementation plan. Week 1, I'm going to use that interesting formula: data, recommendation, impact in my communication tomorrow. Week 2, I'm going to eliminate all tentative words from my communication and instead use certainty while I'm communicating. Week 3, proactive input. On my next meeting or whatever important meetings are happening week 3, I'm going to send a pre-meeting email sharing the ideas that I am looking forward to offering to the team when I join the meeting the next day. Week 4, I look at my communication and make sure that it is impact focused. And week 5, own your expertise. You are smart, you are talented. God blessed you with a lot of brilliance. I don't think He blessed you with brilliance so that you can cover it and hide it under the soil. I think He wants you to stand proud, because when we do share our brilliance, it's also a demonstration of gratitude for the gifts that we've been given. Now, if this resonated with you, this channel is not all about mindset shifts. I did share mindset shifts in this video, but as you can see, there are tools and there are systems and there are tips and there are tricks that you have to pair with the mindset shifts if you do want to be successful. So if you want to hear more of that, I suggest you like, share, comment, and subscribe so you can know when the next video comes up. In addition, I have a lot of free resources on my page as well. I have a career visibility toolkit, I have a leadership gap assessment where you can identify what the gap is between where you are and where you're trying to get to. Or if you want additional support, you can definitely reach out to me and I would offer you a free coaching conversation. No questions asked. This is not a sales call. I really am here to support those who are looking to move forward in their careers. And so if there's anything you take away from this, being nervous is normal. Like, even Beyonce, I'm sure, gets nervous when she's about to perform. It is about the mindset shifts as well as the system shifts that you employ. How do you pair those together to make sure that you are successful? How do you pair those together to make sure that nervousness or being an introverted or quiet leader doesn't hinder you from your next level? So here's what I want to say. PSA, your quietness is not a limitation, rather it is your competitive advantage, and I look forward to talking more about that competitive advantage in the next one. But until then, I hope you have an awesome week. I look forward to seeing you on the next one.